Wow, 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 wow. Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I know that a lot of you are actually happy with this result, and I understand that. But we got a whole bunch to talk about. I'm going to try to keep this relatively short, just so I can get it up quicker. Let me just say that at the end of this video, I will take some time to address some people that I did not have a chance to address in the first comeback video, the Game 1 video, and also maybe address a couple of people that I did mention in the first video, but who I have not had a chance to correspond with yet. So I will do that at the conclusion of this video. I'm not going to go off of my notes too much now because I don't want to take the time to do it. There's a bunch to say, though, so let's get started. Number one, we told you so. And when I say we, I mean Lin fans, not just conservative new media, Lin fans. We said this team and this style wouldn't work in the postseason. If you can see by the title of this video, I say McMorey ball is exposed. What is McMorey ball? McMorey ball is a type of basketball played by head coach Kevin McHale and GM Daryl Morey. Put McHale and Morey together, you get McMorey. And what we are seeing now is that McMorey ball isn't working in the playoffs. And that's not a huge surprise. And part of the reason why it's not working is because James Harden isn't working in the playoffs. Again, this has been an issue for James in the past. I like James. I think James is a superstar, and he will continue to get better. There were some bad signs in this game tonight. One in particular. Oh, man. So, from a Lin fan's perspective, it will be good, I believe, when Jeremy's not on this team anymore, because every little fault line and crack and potential problem that's been there all year, now they're all coming out. And I'm not surprised at all. We've talked about them. We've mentioned them. The most important problems with this team and the organization overall, in my opinion, and remember, I've been a Rockets fan for about 30 years. So I've seen this team, seen this organization through a lot of thick and thin, is that they're too cocky. They have too much self-belief. And I mean that from the top down in the organization. Maybe not Les Alexander, the owner, but everybody else. They really believed their own hype. And now you're seeing the fruits of that. You're not as good as you thought you were. You're not as good. I remember earlier in the year, James Harden said that Houston was the best team in the NBA. I read comments by Daryl Morey, the general manager, recently saying that he thought that the team could compete with anybody in the West and basically go to the finals. Nope. I will say this, though, about Daryl Morey. He did a great job in picking up talent for the bottom of the roster, the end of the roster, right before the playoffs began. Getting people like, I believe Jason Powell, I think is his name, trying out other guys. Kudos to Daryl Morey for doing that, because he did that as well or better than anybody else in the league. Probably better right at the end of the deadline. Oklahoma City did get Caron Butler, and they did bring in some other guys, but I still think that Daryl Morey did it better than anybody else did. That's his job, and he did it really well. So we have to say that before I criticize him anymore. Again, we try to be fair here. Yes, we like Jeremy Lin, but we're going to tell you the truth. So if Jeremy's not good, we'll say he's not good. If Jeremy's great, we'll say he's great, etc., etc. Daryl Morey was phenomenal at getting talent and depth for the team late in the season. Better than anybody else in the NBA, and give him huge credit for that. On the other hand, if we think that Daryl Morey is too cocky in his assessment of the team, then we're going to say that too. And as we're finding out right now against Portland, it's looking like that's the case. Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale is not a good coach. He's not. I know there was talk about coach of the year and all this stuff. Nope. I'm not saying that Kevin McHale can't coach. I'm not saying that Kevin McHale wasn't a Hall of Fame player. I'm not saying Kevin McHale is a bad guy. I don't think he is a bad guy. I do think that Kevin McHale is not at the level of serious coaches in this league. I'm talking about people like Greg Popovich. Names are escaping me right now. Top strategic coaches. Now, you don't have to be a great strategic coach to be a great coach, but it certainly helps. It certainly helps. I think McHale is a little bit too weak when it comes to dealing with the superstars. I don't think he's a great strategic coach. I don't think he's a great adjustments coach. Strategic meaning X's and O's. Adjustments meaning your opponent's doing something and what are you going to do about it? This type of thing. And I think now you're beginning to see the limits of Kevin McHale's coaching abilities. And that's unfortunate. Now, to be fair to Kevin McHale, I don't think he was too cocky about the team. Because I remember him saying something like the team could beat anybody and they could lose to anybody too. He said that earlier in the season, and I agree with him about that. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Kevin McHale was too cocky, because I don't think he was. The only reason I would say Kevin is too cocky is because he's not a good enough coach, in my opinion. And so if you're not good enough, you need to work harder at it. And I don't know if Kevin works hard enough on being a coach. I can't honestly answer that, but if I had to make a guess, I would say no. Okay, now the cockiness of the team. We already mentioned James Harden. Okay, I don't think you have to say too much about that, given his performance in these first two playoff games. What we're seeing now from James Harden is a repeat of what we saw in the 2012 NBA Finals when he totally disappeared. And he will get beyond this. Remember, you're talking about a guy who's only 24 years old. James Harden is still a spectacular talent. He will be better than this, but he's got a problem with the playoffs, a real problem. We've heard that Jeremy has a problem. Well, guess who else has a problem? Yeah, the guy with the beard who went, he's shooting, let me look at my stats really quickly. He's shooting 30% in these first two games. 14 of 47, 30%. Remember, this is your best player or your second best player. If your second best player doesn't show up and he's a star, you're not going to win. You're not winning. And so when James Harden says we're the best team in the NBA, when James Harden's cocky and he's the man and he's the leader and he's the stud, no, you're not. No, you're not. Because the reputation is made in the regular season, but it is solidified in the postseason. And until James Harden is able to get past this, he's going to have a stigma on him as a player. So, do I think James Harden has been too cocky? Yes, I do, in assessing his own abilities and in assessing the team's abilities. Dwight Howard, look, Dwight played hard tonight, man. I give him credit because if he wouldn't have played as he did in the first half, this would have been even worse. Dwight came out on fire in this game, and it's unfortunate that he couldn't sustain it in the second half. Dwight is incredibly talented, and you saw him at his absolute best for the first half of this game. That's as well as I can ever remember seeing him play. Not only offensively, but defensively. I mean, he was shutting down drives to the paint. He hit everything. He would not be denied. He is capable of playing at that level. Now, this is his 11th year, so he's not going to be able to play at that level forever, and he's not going to be able to play at that level as easily as he could have 5 years ago. But he still is capable of it, and that's what was seen tonight. The problem for Dwight is that it's easy for him to lose mental focus. It's kind of what happened to him in the second half. He loses focus. He loses attention. You can rattle him and get him off his game. As long as he's locked in, he's incredible, which is what happened in the first half. But it's very difficult to keep him locked in just because of his temperament. Again, I like Dwight Howard. I like him a lot, actually, as a person. This is just part of who he is as a person, though, is there's kind of like an immaturity and just a difficulty with focus, at least on the outside looking in. And I've heard different things about Dwight that I don't really want to go into that would go with what I'm saying here. I just think that emotionally, sometimes it's hard for him to keep himself in check or to keep concentrated on the goal. And that's more of what I think we saw in the second half. And that shows up in things like silly fouls, getting frustrated when he's not getting calls too much, getting texts, this type of thing. Okay, so talked about cocky people and cocky organizations. Now let's get to the third player that fits this bill. Chandler Bieber Parsons. And I'm bringing Bieber back in true Justin Timberlake fashion. And the reason why I'm bringing Bieber back, and when I say Bieber, I mean the nickname, because people told me you shouldn't call him that. And I said, you're right. That's a little immature on my part. But after I heard this remark, I'm bringing Bieber back. Bieber refers to, of course, Justin Bieber. And I call Chandler Bieber because he's got a fame lust. He wants to be famous. He wants to be the man. Sometimes he gets a little too ahead of himself because of that desire. And before this game was one of those times. If you listen to this game, if you watch the game on TNT in the United States, you probably know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that Chandler Bieber Parsons, before this game, came out and said that he's the best small forward in the series. That, of course, was a slap in the face to Nicholas Batum, who is a terrific player. Terrific player. He didn't play great in this game, and he certainly didn't play well in the first game. Nicholas Batum is an outstanding player. So for Chandler to come out and say that, why would you do that? Why do you do that? It's just another stupid, cocky, immature thing that has plagued this team all freaking year. You don't say things that are going to get back to your opponent to make them riled up. Right, Bieber? Don't do that. You know, Chandler went and tried out for Team USA, I believe, this year. And I'm talking about for the Olympic team or the Olympic qualifying team or whatever it is. And he didn't last very long. And after he got cut, he was like, oh, I can't believe they cut me or whatever. Well, I believe they cut you, Chandler, because you're not as good as you think you are. And that's a problem with this whole damn team. You're not as good as you think you are. And now reality's starting to hit you in the face. And it's ugly. But we knew this was coming. We knew this was coming. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the Indiana Pacers. They talk and they talk and they talk. They're so great. They're so this. They're so that. You haven't won anything. You guys are paper tigers. Yeah, you got home court. That's great. Win something. You're just not that good. Stop talking. Chandler, stop talking. James Harden, stop talking. Dwight, you can talk, but you really need to focus and play 2 halves like you played the first half tonight. And you need to do that game in and game out. You're capable of doing it. So please do it for yourself, not for me, for you. Finally, and I hate to say this, I really hate to say this, but I have to say it. When we're talking about cocky people and cocky players. Patrick Beverley. You're doing your skipping. You're talking about how you play great defense and you should be on the all-defensive team and all this different stuff. What happened? What happened? Now look, Patrick played pretty well tonight. Particularly, actually, he played well on the offensive end, and Damian Lillard didn't shoot well tonight. He did not. However, the first 2 games of this series, Damian Lillard has 51 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 assists. Okay? What that works out to on a per-game average is 25 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 8 assists. So if you're a defensive stopper, that's not very good if the guy you're going against is putting up those numbers. And he's a second-year player just like you are. Patrick, you're a good player. You're a good dude. We've done our best on here to be as fair as we possibly can to you, given that we're Jeremy Lin Fan Channel and given what the fan base wants. Believe me, if you knew some of the things that were said to me regarding you and what people want me to say about you, you'd believe me when I say that I'm trying to be as fair as I can to you. I like Patrick. He does add a spark to the team. He is a good defender. But the problem with Patrick, like Parsons, like Harden, is they get ahead of themselves too much. You guys believed your own dang hype. To be fair, Jeremy bought into his own hype when he was in New York. The difference is that Jeremy knows he bought into his own hype. He's already come to that understanding. Hopefully, James Harden, Chandler Parsons, and Patrick Beverley will start to understand when the offseason comes soon, and it's coming real soon, that you bought into your own hype too much, and it cost you badly. If you talk, it can work. It can intimidate your opponent. You know what else it can do? It can anger your opponent and make them play better than they would have if you would have shut up. And that's what's happening here. Portland came into this series. They came into these 2 games convinced they were the better team. They expected to win. And they wanted to win to shut Houston up. Lillard wanted to shut Beverly up. Aldridge and the rest wanted to shut Houston up. And they're doing exactly that. I'm telling you right now, Portland is the better team. They are the better team because they are the more poised team. And they're more confident. The problem with Dwight Howard and James Harden, and these are the 2 best players on the team, they're not as confident as they would like you to think they are. I mean, Harden, you see some of these shots, they're ridiculous. And there's one particular play with Harden late in the game that I will mention in a bit that just, you want to talk about unconfident. Actually, there's 2 plays. They were the pinnacle of unconfident. Dwight Howard and James Harden both have some of what I would refer to as, well, I won't say that. They both have some, how can I say that? Performance in the clutch issues. Both of them have been accused of shrinking in the moment in big stages, and both of them do have issues with this. And that's why I never believed this team was going to go far this year, because the core of the team either lacks confidence or has fake confidence. And what happens with fake confidence, it's like a bully. When you have fake confidence, when a bully gets bullied, then the fake confidence goes away. So if the opponent stands up to your bullying, you crumble. Portland has stood up to Houston, and Houston is crumbling. And that's exactly what's happening here. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see. It really is. But it's not unexpected. It is not unexpected. And, this is what it is. One of the problems with the style that Houston plays is that it doesn't hold up well in the playoffs. Houston plays run and gun, although they certainly went to Dwight in the post tonight, which is the opposite of run and gun. If you play run and gun, it's harder to do that in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, everything slows down. Teams tend to take better care of the ball. Possessions are more valued. It's just harder to get out in transition than it is in the regular season, because for a number of reasons. And so it makes you execute more precisely on offense. So if you're not good at that, you're going to have a problem. And that's part of what's happening to Houston right now. Speaking about Jeremy didn't have a great game tonight. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well. He's 1 of 5. He had a couple turnovers. He did make some nice passes, and he did try to become Mr. Clutch. All 5 of his points were in the fourth quarter. So Jeremy does tend to be best when it's most important. But he didn't have a great night. He didn't have the opportunity necessarily to have a great night in some respects. The offense has not run through him. I mean, Patrick Beverley shot the ball 6 more times than Jeremy did in this game. So, they get so many chances. That's the situation Jeremy is at in Houston. He didn't play as well as he played in the first game. He had some nice plays, like taking charge, doing some other things, but he had an okay game. He certainly wasn't the worst of the Rockets, that's for sure. People will try to blame him for this loss. You can count on that. They'll blame him for that play where James Harden gave him the ball. They'll blame him for everything. You already know that's going to happen. But this is not on him. He wasn't great, but he wasn't the problem. Let's just put it that way. Okay, I'm just going to try to skim through my notes here in a second, and then I'll just kind of try to wrap up and just comment on a few other things. First of all, let me just say, LaMarcus Aldridge just went crazy in this game, just like he did in the first game. He is unstoppable for Houston. I know people are talking about play Dwight on him more. Well, you can try. I mean, that's probably the only person that has a prayer of guarding him. Terrence Jones, too small, too short. LaMarcus can shoot right over him. Omer actually did a good job, real good. It just, LaMarcus was so hot he couldn't miss. The problem with Omer is he's not really quick, but he played hard. I mean, he gave everything he could. It just, LaMarcus was hitting shots. Dwight's the right combination of height and quickness. The problem is he's not super quick. He's bigger and heavier than LaMarcus, which means if LaMarcus wants to take him off the dribble or get him, like pump fake him, it's probably going to work. And so if you put Dwight on him, you're probably going to have problems with fouls for Dwight. But they're going to have to do that. One of the things that Houston did earlier in the game that actually worked was they played the Twin Towers. They played Omer and Dwight. And it worked because they had more shot blocking and more rim protection. And if a guy drove past or got by one of them, the other one was waiting at the rim. I mean, Dwight had several blocks on Damian Lillard at the rim because if you're dealing with both of those guys, it makes things much more difficult in terms of shooting and taking shots around the rim. And it also helps in the rebounding. And Portland is a terrific rebounding team. I think they're the best in the league. So that was a pretty decent strategy, and I give McHale credit for that. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Damian Lillard did not shoot the ball well in this game. He was not nearly as hot as he was in the first game, but he didn't try to play the same way. And he wasn't looking to score as much in this game as he was in the first game. And he almost had a triple-double. He had 18 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists. So, yes, he shot poorly. But again, the concept that Patrick was going to just shut him down, we've talked about this 100 different times before. Patrick's not a defensive stopper. He's a defensive pest. He bothers you. In the first 2 games, Patrick has a total of 2 steals. So the Drew Holiday and all that, that's long gone. Okay, 1 steal per game. That's not a defensive stopper. It's good. He did a decent job on Damian. And I'll tell you who else did a pretty good job on Damian was Jeremy. Real nice. Real nice. So this wasn't all Patrick, number 1. And number 2, the guy still almost had a triple-double. And Damian was big in the fourth quarter. He had 9 points in the fourth quarter, which I think was the most on either team. So this is where we're at. This is where we are at. Let me just tell you this right now, and there's a number of you that don't know the history of the playoffs and how things work. If a home team loses the first 2 games in a 7-game series, there are monumental odds that team is going to win the series. So what I'm telling you is this series is essentially over now. Houston could win, sure, they could win in Portland, right? They have to win 2 out of 3 games in Portland, at least, to win this series. And let me tell you something, that's not going to happen, in my opinion. So I don't know what the odds are. I'm sure there will be plenty of statisticians telling you what the odds are, but they're really, really bad in terms of percentage of teams who have come back from a 2-0 deficit when you lost the first 2 games at home. So for all intents and purposes, the series and the season is over. So the reason why I'm talking the way that I'm talking and kind of putting the season in context is because the season is over. Basically, it's done. It's done. So a couple more games, and again, the Portland crowd is just crazy. They're one of the top 5 crowds in the NBA without question. They are going to be, they're going to be all over Houston, which means that the Portland bench and the role players are going to play even better. It's going to be a frenzy, like a feeding frenzy for Sharks. The next game could get pretty ugly, in my opinion, because it's on. It's going to be crazy. The next couple games could be Jeremy's last few in Houston. This could be his final playoff series as a Houston Rocket. Daryl Morey came out recently, I believe, or somebody did, some source or somebody in Houston, and said that they're very serious about acquiring Carmelo Anthony. That's not a surprise at all. Well, if they're going to acquire Carmelo Anthony, guess how they're going to get the cap space to do that, the salary cap space, by getting rid of Jeremy's and Omer Asik's contracts. Do I think they're going to get Carmelo Anthony? No. If I had to guess a team that I think was going to get Carmelo Anthony, I would say the Chicago Bulls are going to get Carmelo Anthony. But Houston could get him. They could get him. And so all signs point to Houston's going to try to get rid of Jeremy's contract. So we'll see. Look, we'll take it as it comes. We'll take it when it comes and when it happens. But we could be looking at the last couple games here of Jeremy's Houston Rockets career. And again, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I think that might work out best for everybody involved. Okay, let me just go over any just quick little notes here about the game. There were a couple things I wanted to say. I know one or two of them in particular. One, I really liked the way that Chris Webber talked about Jeremy Lin tonight. He gave him a lot of credit. And what I think happened to Chris is that you guys, you Lin fans, probably, I know people wrote him on Twitter, and I think he heard what you were saying. When I tell you guys all the time, believe me, people are listening, and Jeremy's fan community is overwhelming. Chris Webber, I guarantee you, heard what was said to him about Jeremy, and that's the reason why he was so complimentary of Jeremy tonight. I'm 100% certain of that. The difference between Chris Webber and the Houston trio that call the games is that Chris Webber listens to the critics and others don't. And, well, maybe that's unfortunate, but I'm glad that Chris Webber listened. Let's just put it that way. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm just perusing through my notes as quickly as I can. Okay, I'm almost here. There's just, like I said, there are two particular notes, things that I must say. Just some defensive breakdowns and stuff that I noted and whatever. Okay. Look, let's just get to the truth here and the things that are really important here. Look, James Harden, late in this game, like the last minute or two of this game or whatever it was, had one play was it was difficult to watch. And I'm talking about when I'm looking right here. I'm trying to find exactly when it was, because I want you guys to know exactly precisely what I'm talking about here. I can't. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Here it is. There was about, like a minute and 15 or something left in the game. Houston was down 102 to 96. James Harden was on the right side of the floor, outside the three-point arc. He lost control of the ball. He turned the ball over, right? And then he just quit on the play. It was like his will to compete left. It was so sad to watch, because basically it was like, you watch those animal documentaries, like the wilderness documentaries. It's like watching a deer that's being chased all of a sudden just fall down and give up. That's what James Harden did on that play. He quit, in my opinion. It was so sad. I felt bad for James. I felt disgusted because he quit, but I felt bad for him because that's going to stick with him. This is what I mean when I say fake confidence. If you really believe in yourself, if you really believe it's not over until it's over, you don't do that. And that's when Houston lucked out, because Harden turned the ball over. He quit on the play. Portland had a 3-on-1 or 3-on-2 fast break, and Chandler, I think, broke it up and came down and got a layup. So Chandler didn't quit on the play, but James Harden quit. That was basically, in my opinion, James Harden quitting on the season, because this loss ends the season for all intents and purposes. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? But that's the type of issue that this team has. There's a weakness in the character of this team, in my opinion. And that, I think, was an example of that weakness. Finally, with 29 seconds left in the game, and the score is 108 to 103 for Portland. Houston inbounded the ball. I think Jeremy threw the ball in, I believe, to James Harden. And then James Harden passed the ball to Jeremy, and Jeremy's not in position to do anything. Let me tell you something. If LeBron James did that, what Harden did, people said he would have been scared to take the shot. So on that play, James Harden looked afraid to take the shot. It looked like one of those plays when the shot clock is low and James Harden passes it to somebody else so he doesn't have to get a miss on his stat sheet. So it was like those two plays. And then right after that, James Harden fouled out of the game. I think, the ball got turned over or something, or Jeremy turned it over or something, and then Harden fouled a guy. It's like, dude, you want to be the guy, right? You're the man. And you were mad, it seemed like, to all of us Lin fans because Lin was taking your heat. And then you do this. Then you quit on the play. You quit on the season, basically, when you turn the ball over. And then you pass the ball to Jeremy to bail you out. You're the man, right? You're the man. The man doesn't do that. The man doesn't do that. Okay? And that's it. That's the synopsis for me of this entire season. This team, this unit was never freaking ready for the big stage. They thought they were, and they thought they knew best. They all thought they knew best from the top of the organization on down, and now they're finding out the truth. The truth is ugly. The truth is there's a really good chance you're going to get swept out of the first round, okay? Last year, it was so incredible, and we found Patrick Beverley, and we put up such a gallant fight against the number 1 Oklahoma City Thunder, who, of course, we won't mention, lost Russell Westbrook in the series. No, that didn't matter. The underdog Rockets overperformed expectations. And boy, were they set up for a great run this year because they got Dwight Howard, and Patrick was made the starter. We benched that not good Jeremy Lin, and everything was going to be magic and unicorns and babies crying with glee and lollipops and rainbows, except it's not. It's rain clouds and darkness and running into walls and crashed car sounds. That's what's happening now. We freaking told you. We told you. We told you. We told you. You had to find out for yourself. And I'm talking about the doubters and haters here. Not any of the Lin fans, because you guys knew better. All this stuff was a freaking mirage, was an illusion, was the Wizard of Oz projecting out his 50-foot face. It was a fraud, a scam. Now you're seeing the truth about this. This team was a paper tiger. And let me tell you something. Houston and the Lin haters are not ready for this implosion. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't part of the script. For this team to be the favored seed, the number 4 seed going against the number 5 seed. This is, again, last year was number 8 against number 1, and they won 2 games. Maybe they'll still win a couple games in this series. If this team goes out in the first round with Dwight Howard and Patrick Beverley in the starting unit, with the number 4 seed and home court advantage, I cannot begin to tell you how much of a disaster this is for everybody involved. For Daryl Morey, for Kevin McHale, for Dwight Howard, for James Harden, for Patrick Beverley. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't the narrative. Right now, the narrative is coming tumbling down on the Houston Rockets. And it's going to get ugly. And there's going to be a whole bunch of blaming and stuff, and people are going to reach out. I'm sure they're already doing it. They're already trying to blame Jeremy. You can't blame Jeremy anymore. Jeremy's not a starter. He's a role player. Jeremy's not the guy that was supposed to shut down Damian Lillard, right? That's why you put Chandler Bieber on Lillard in the first game. You didn't even give Jeremy a chance to stop Damian Lillard, even though Jeremy shut down Damian Lillard earlier this year. At least you gave Jeremy a chance to guard Damian Lillard in tonight's game. And you know what? He did pretty well. But it's too late. It's too late. Because if you go down 0-2 and you lose both games at home, you're going bye-bye. This team doesn't have the heart. They don't have the resilience. They don't have the character to overcome this deficit. And I hate to say that, but somebody that's watched a lot of basketball, a lot of Houston Rockets basketball, I feel very confident in saying that. I hope they come back, but to be honest, they're not coming back. And that means that the train wreck of a narrative is going to hit like a ton of bricks. And we told you. We told you. And that's all I have to say about this game. So if you do not want to hear my thoughts towards other people, other topics, then now's the time to leave the video. And hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. And I really hope we'll be talking to you after a Houston victory in Portland. But I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. Okay. Okay, sorry, I don't have my thoughts gathered here. There's a number of people I want to say something to. Let me just go through the people that I mentioned in the last video. And I mentioned 4 people, I believe. Julianne Lynn. Julianne, you know exactly how I feel. I hope everything's going great for you. I don't want to say too much because I want to protect your privacy. I really hope that everything is going well in what your endeavor is right now. Sorry I haven't written you back, although I did write you really quickly. I appreciate what you did in terms of helping us out recently. So thanks very much. I will try to talk with you again soon. Melody Ting, I'm sorry. I know you wrote me some more tweets. I haven't had a chance to see them yet. I have not gone back on a Twitter in months. I might go tonight to put this video up, although I might not. I've got some other things I've got to do. I have not spoken with you in a long time. I hope everything is going well for you. I know where we were left things off. I know there was a lot of issues up in the air for you. I hope that stuff has been resolved well. I hope you had a good time on the vacation that you were going on at that period of time when we last spoke. It's great to see you. I'm glad I got to see you in the comments, and we will talk more soon. Hanny Chang, great to see you in the comments. Same thing. I'm sorry I hadn't had a chance to speak with you. I've gotten what the messages that you sent to me. It's great to see you. I hope everything's going well. I hope everything's going well for everybody in Jeremy Only Lynn Garden. You guys rock. You know that. And I do know now that Taiwan is 12 hours ahead. So I did research the time difference in between game number 1 and game number 2 videos. It's really nice to see you. I hope things are going well for you. Anli Shin. The main thing I wanted to tell you is what I said in the comments, which is I did get the DVD. Because when you sent it to me, I never got a chance to tell you that I got it. And I'm sorry about that. I did get it. I hope everything's going well for you. Again, we appreciate everything that you've done, everything that Jeremy Only Lynn Garden has done. You guys are fantastic. And we're just looking forward to more good things for Jeremy going forward. Okay. Other people that I did not get a chance to address in the first video that I want to address now. Anderson Who. I know you sent me a couple tweets, Anderson, or messages. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to respond. I appreciate your sentiments, and I didn't forget about you. I'm sorry I just mentioned a couple people that had emailed me directly. I think that's what I was talking about before in the last video. Ronnie, you're awesome. So great to see you. I'm always happy to see you. just such a positive, supportive guy, and really appreciate that. Bluebell, don't worry, you're never out of practice in teasing me, so you haven't lost a step. Minhee Cow, you asked me one time, what do I do for a living? And I never answered you. And I didn't really want to get into it. And I've never said this before. And maybe I shouldn't say it now. But I remembered what you asked me, and I saw you the other day, and so I wanted to say it. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Let me just say, I didn't forget that you asked me that. It's just not something I want to talk about currently. That's the easiest way for me to say it. But I appreciate that you asked me that, and maybe sometime I will share with you on that subject. Let me think here. Brent Yen. Brent, I know you mentioned me on Twitter the other day. I know you've sent me a number of different things, including the thing about somebody putting a group up on Reddit. I got all that. I'm sorry, I just haven't had a chance to respond. Appreciate all of your support of Jeremy and your kindness towards me and towards us. Thanks for hanging in there, and it was great to see you. I'm trying to think. I know I'm going to forget a couple of people here. Let me see. Sorry, like I said, I am working here without notes. I had made notes down about people that I did want to address, but I wanted to do this video as quickly as I could, although it's not going particularly quickly right now, as I'm sure you guys are aware of. Although hopefully you're enjoying it and it's interesting to you. Like I said, there were a few other people that I wanted to say something to, and I'm just trying to remember who they are. Look, I know that the Game 1 video was put on jeremylin.net by, I don't remember who put it on, and I really appreciate that. And I know there was a lot of positive feedback there, and again, we thank jeremylin.net for supporting us. We thank all the readers over there that have been kind to us. We thank all of the commenters that are kind in the videos. It's great to see everybody. Kwak Wai Lai, Lo Hut from I believe South Korea. Everybody. I know somebody that I did forget to mention. Thank goodness I remembered them right now. I would have really felt bad had I not remembered. Grace Miller. Grace, I got everything you sent me about going to the Washington Wizards game and all of that. And I wanted to tell you something about that, which I did not have a chance to tell you, and I really wanted to tell you. I watched that game. On League Pass, and I saw somebody sitting courtside that I actually thought was you, but it might have been your friend that you were telling me about. The reason why I thought it was you, it was an Asian man and an Asian woman. They were like a middle-aged couple. The Asian woman was holding a Jeremy Lin doll. And I remember that you talked to me about someone gave you a doll from the game, or your son or something like that. And so I saw this in the camera, and I was watching the Washington feed of the game, right? The Washington broadcast. And they did a camera shot up close of the woman and the man, and the woman was like, she put the doll up to the camera, the Jeremy doll. And it was just awesome. I was like, is that Grace? And then I thought maybe it's Grace's friend or something. So I think you got to go to that game, or your son got to go. That is terrific. And again, your friend, or maybe your friend of your son's, or whatever, I think they might have been on camera. And I saw them because I saw that doll. And I know you were talking to me about getting a doll, I think, from the game. So I just wanted to let you know that. And finally, I know somebody else that I forgot to mention. Again, I know I'm going to forget people. I've read all the comments. I appreciate all the feedback. It is great to see everybody. And we're glad that you guys are happy to see us again as seeing me. I really appreciate it. I don't have time to answer every single comment or do a bunch of tweets right now, but I do read stuff and do appreciate it. Lily Chen, I'm glad that you understood what I was saying about making posts at Real GM. The reason why I said what I said is because among some of my friends, I have a reputation as a hermit, which I know you guys would laugh at because I can't stop talking. And I'm not a hermit, but sometimes I act like one because I get so engrossed in other things that I'm doing. And so the Real GM, as you mentioned, your own stuff, that's just a stress relief for me. It's like somebody, I don't know, playing solitaire or something. Just something that kind of just, it works for them. And that's what talking basketball is for me. So, again, sometimes I will do that rather than talk to people I know or I care about just because it's less stressful and it helps take my mind off of it. So I'm glad that you could relate to what I was saying. And I really hope that your schoolwork and I know your thesis work is going well. I've not forgotten about you. I know that you sent me stuff and mentioned stuff to me that I had not had a chance to respond to. And I'm sorry about that, but it's great to see you. Very good. And thanks for the kind words. Others, Letitia, Joyce Ward, ACBC over at JeremyLin.net. Everybody else. Oh, Bill on Twitter. You're doing a great job as usual. Ido Amir. Sorry, I'm thinking of the guy in the old dictator guy. Sorry about that. Keep up the great work. I think a lot of us are. We're not surprised by how things are going right now for Houston, even though it's unfortunate in a lot of ways. But it's in some ways it's not really surprising. So. It's good to be back again. I will be here as much as I can. There might not be a whole bunch more games left for Jeremy and the Rockets this year. I don't think there will be, but I will do what I can to try to stick around for the rest of them as well as I can. I put up a video last night about the Lakers just because I came upon a piece of information and I wanted to do that. So I want to be around as much as I can, but just, keep working on my stuff and do what I can. So that is it for now. Again, I apologize if I missed anybody to speak with. It's a tough way for the Rockets to go out, but hopefully it'll be better for them in the long haul, and hopefully for Jeremy, he can perform well in the last couple games here and move on with his career. I don't think Jeremy's going to be in Houston for a lot longer. So if that's going to be the case, then he might as well move on. The sooner, the better. That's the way I feel about it anyway. So the recap here is this. Look, McMorey, Ball, and James Harden exposed, unfortunately, but not surprisingly. And that's it. Teams just don't come back from 0-2 when they lose the first two games at home. That just doesn't really happen. So this is what we're looking at right now. And we'll take it from here. It is 1:52 a.m. early on Thursday, April 24th, or is it Wednesday? I'm losing. It's Wednesday, April 24th, I believe. I'm sorry, I'm losing track of my days here. Which means it is 1:52 p.m. on, I believe, Wednesday, April 24th, 2014 in Taipei, Taiwan. I hope everybody's doing great and having a good night. I would imagine there are many of you who feel pretty good right now based upon the turn of events for the team. And so I understand that. I understand that where that's coming from. So I will try to get down in the comments if I can. And I hope everybody has a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you listen to and watch this video. Take care. We will talk to you again soon.